Because of what I do, I have had the privilege over the course of my career to attend a lot of training, hundreds of hours, probably pushing well over 1,000, all things considered, multiple disciplines here in the United States, people who are from here and people who are from abroad that have different perspectives, lots of different disciplines, everything from armed self-defense, unarmed self-defense, medical, rifle, pistol, shotgun, defense in the home, defense in vehicles, crap that I won't really realistically ever use, everything from like dynamic breaching to night vision to tradecraft. And I will be open and honest and say that the vast majority of that training I did not have to pay for. I was just simply invited to go do it over the course of the years. And I'm supremely blessed to be in that situation. I feel as though it is a supreme waste to have obtained this knowledge and not apply it to particularly high-profile incidents where a lot of folks are searching for that thing and may come across a video that I can do that applies that knowledge to those situations. And maybe, just maybe, in the future, somebody will have committed that information to memory and they might avoid a critical incident and recall that information that might prevent them from a bad outcome. That is my supreme hope. And I guess what I would lead off with here today is that I've wrestled with doing this video today because it is such a heinous situation. The Iryna Zarutska incident out of Charlotte. We now have the full video, and here is a word of caution. Because periodically I do these types of content, I have consumed some very dark material, and I will warn you that if you go searching for this, you will find it. You can't unsee it once you see it. While there isn't a whole lot of firearms-related stuff, firearms is only one facet of self-defense. It is just simply the best modern tool that we have. Do not mistake me. I am not doing this video to victim shame this woman. This woman did not deserve this. However, the truth is that there were several critical errors that were made in the lead up to this incident that put her in that situation. And again, not victim shaming her, but to not voice those is irresponsible of anybody who knows better, because it might prevent somebody else from walking into a similar situation. And that is the goal today, is to analyze this incident and hopefully save somebody else in the future. Understand that in order to make this piece of content and publish it on this platform, there are particular lines that I will have to walk. And there is specific content that I will have to alter and flat out not be able to show you because of the content restrictions. I will do my best, and I don't know how long this video will be in review before it can be published. And obviously there's no sponsor on today's video. That would be in very bad taste. But what I would say is that if today's video gives you what I would consider a healthy dose of paranoia, and you want to augment your EDC with medical equipment, that we'll get to later in the video, whether that would have helped or not, it will be chaptered and everything, then we have a discount code for Medical Gear Outfitters for you guys to be able to obtain that at a reasonable rate. Anyway, that's all I'll say on it. The first thing that I would like to discuss is that the first pillar of self-defense is a fight avoided is a fight won. And we have a saying, and that is that you don't go stupid places with stupid people to do stupid things at stupid hours of the day. And a good example of that is like, Kurt, I like to go out and get blasted with my buddies. All right, it's a free country. You have a right to do that. But what I would say about that is, let's go through them. Stupid place, stupid people, stupid things, as stupid hours of the day. So you have checked all 4 boxes, and understand that while you have freedom to do that, the implication there is that your exposure to potential bad situations has gone way, way up. Public transportation. Different places around the world, different cultures have different relationships with public transportation. This woman was Ukrainian. She's European. They have different ways of doing things in that part of the world. In the United States, public transportation is a stupid place. We have to critically analyze public transportation and how it is used in the United States. The vast majority of folks that use public transportation, are using it for legitimate purposes. However, if we critically analyze the population of folks that use public transportation on the regular, we come up with a couple criteria. Generally, folks that either have no other choice or choose to use mass transit for whatever reason. That could be tourist. It's hard to drive there, or too far to walk there, and it's just more convenient to hop on the thing. Socioeconomic problems. That could be, let's be real, folks that have chosen to disobey particular societal norms and then have been reduced to using public transportation because they have no other means. Again, there's an innocent group and then there's a not so innocent group, and they're intermixed. The animals in the last category that I mentioned use public transport is documented. They use public transport to export some of their local problems elsewhere. While using public transport, you have very little time and very little opportunity to differentiate the various groups of folks. Public transport also disobeys much of the conventional wisdom when it comes to situational awareness and orienting yourself in a space to minimize your exposure. For instance, when you walk into a traditional building, restaurant, or something like that, the defense-minded individual will orient themselves towards the egress points. Took my wife forever to figure out what was going on. I'd pull her chair out for her, and it probably came off as chivalry, but it was, no, you're going to sit here because I'm going to face the door. Entrances and exits on public transport are basically worthless to you because once those doors close, you aren't using those exits until that vehicle stops. You should be able to see them, see what has left, and more importantly, what has come on, but your focus should be on what is locked in there with you. Remember the 4 stupids. Stupid place, definitely. Stupid people, obviously. Stupid things, we'll get to that here in a second. Stupid hours a day, I don't know. She was coming home from work. There are 4 rules when it comes to public transportation. Rule number 1, avoid public transportation at all costs. Number 2, if you don't have public transportation in your community yet, fight its installation at all costs. Number 3, if you fail, move. Number 4, avoid public transportation at all costs. You are locked in a murder box with you don't know what. Failing those situations, if you find yourself in a situation where you absolutely have to use public transport, for instance, in my life, the Pittsburgh airport, you cannot get from the security checkpoint to the gate without getting on a tram. Now, you have a reasonable expectation that most people are unarmed, but I'll tell you what, this thing is a perfect improvised weapon. This is made out of aluminum. You could beat somebody to death with one of these things. Personally speaking, I have been carrying an improvised weapon on every flight that I have taken for the last 8 years. And it has never even come close to being detected. Somewhere 50 to 100 flights, international ones too. So don't count on that 100%. The rules that we're going to talk about having failed to keep yourself off of public transportation still apply. The first thing that you must absolutely do is understand the orientation of yourself in the space to minimize your exposure and be paying attention to what is going on. If you watch the video of this woman get on this train, she has not a fucking clue what is going on. She is paying attention to her phone the entire time. She completely misses all the red flags. The dude is wearing a red sweatshirt, for crying out loud, and he is having a clear conniption in the seat behind her. You orient yourself in a three-dimensional space to minimize your directions of potential attack. Never sit down on one of these things. There's only two reasons that I can conceivably come up with that you should find yourself seated on one of these vehicles. The first one is that you don't have a choice. There are rules that make you sit down. Think planes, right? If you do not sit down and put your seatbelt on when the seatbelt sign is on, you may not be able to fly in the future. Remember the cultural norms things that we talked about earlier, right? The rules say you got to sit down, number one. Number two, you're like 8 or 9 months pregnant. Sit the fuck down. But there are particular ways that you can sit down. You should orient yourself so that your back is to something and you have escape routes. Conventional wisdom might be like, all right, go to the very back of the train, right? Sit with your back to the wall. The only problem with that is then you got no methods of escape. The best seats, if you must sit down on one of these vehicles, are these side seats, usually located right inside of the doors. They offer you a direction of impunity directly behind you because your eyes face forward and to the sides, right? Can't see what's behind you. Can't be approached from there. And you can go left or you can go right. You can escape in either direction. Having failed in your survival instinct to keep yourself off of one of these cesspits and having oriented yourself to minimize your exposure, you should then pay attention to your surroundings. And you should do that by first taking your AirPods out, putting your phone in your fucking pocket, and be eye-fucking everything else in the environment that could potentially present a problem. And then, should you detect one of those things, slightly change your orientation to pay greater attention to it without drawing attention to yourself. Look at this woman. Look at her face. She is so insanely caught by surprise by this incident that she does not know in this instance for a couple seconds that she is a dead woman. Completely caught by surprise. Again, to reiterate, I'm not trying to victim shame this woman. She's from Ukraine. She's from Europe. They do things completely differently there. They have a different relationship with public transport than we do in the United States. She may not even conceptualize this type of threat because of how things are done in her part of the world. But you now know better. And the point of this is it doesn't matter if you walked onto that train armed to the teeth. You got belts of ammunition and rifles and shotguns and all that shit strapped all over you. If you make these critical errors and put yourself in a situation that is indefensible, because she is absolutely 0% capable of defending herself in this situation against this, or even detecting the attack coming, then it doesn't matter what you bring with you, because you're absolutely screwed. Which brings me up to the medical side of stuff as well that we touched on earlier. In an instance like this, you are at the mercy of those around you. If you watch the video, which I can't show you, it takes a minute and a half after the stabbing for someone to even consider coming to her aid, right? As far as I can tell, she has a severe neck wound on her right side that is mostly obscured by the angle. But if you watch the video, you see a dude trying to use napkins to mop up the blood. And what I would say is, again, stupid, the four stupids, stupid place, stupid people. The dude who attacked, just look around that whole train. There's about, as far as I can tell, about 15 people in that particular train car, from the different angles, I can tell you in a second, not a single one of those people has any idea how to stop a bleeding wound to the neck or the chest. Not a chance, right? So even if you had taken a pallet of the finest packing material on the planet, that woman is at the mercy of the people around her, and there is not a thing that was going to save her, right? Except for not finding herself in that situation. Not a single person lifted a finger. Most of the people on that train didn't even know it had happened because they were all. The Perry incident has been brought up a bunch of times. Not so sure that that would have helped in this situation. It could have prevented further loss, right? Somebody of that caliber being there might have been able to, with any proper equipment or even just using their own clothing, be able to maybe staunch the bleeding if they were properly trained. Maybe. But that's the limits of where I'm going to go, because there's a cultural problem in this country when it comes to empathy and the lack of godliness and just the look the other way mentality. And people are sick and tired of it. You can see that written all over the internet currently. The one political thing that I will absolutely bring up in this incident is this. This is a letter from the House of Representatives of the United States demanding the removal of the magistrate that saw him last. And just so that you guys sort of understand how this works, oftentimes, depending on the state, these magistrates are not lawyers. They didn't pass the bar. They are underneath of a chief judge, and that's the way that it works in North Carolina. This letter demands the removal of this judge, and we know that the Federal Bureau of Investigation is looking into the circumstances surrounding this particular incident, because I'll just come out and say it, there already is published evidence that there might be some fraud involved with some of these magistrates referring some of their subjects, shall we say, their defendants, to some of these rehabilitation programs, and then those magistrates profit from those. And that's all I'm willing to say at this time, because that's all the information that I have. It will be for the slow movement of the justice system to determine whether those judges will be held accountable. But the American people are sick and tired of it. We demand better from our justice system. There should be no free passes given to somebody because of whatever immutable characteristic you want to float in there. It doesn't matter. This is a case study. This dude should have never been on the street, and a woman is dead. That's all I have to say today. You now know better.